What's up, Bulldogs? Welcome to BVTV. We're your anchors this week. I'm Jack, and I'm here with two varsity football players.
I'm Zion.
And I'm Mitch. Last Friday, our Bulldog varsity team played Saguaro in our first home game of the season.
The weather wasn't really on our side, and we lost 8-13, but we still showed off our Bulldog pride. Now, let's take a look at the highlight reel from the game.
Tonight we play away at Pinnacle High School. Good luck, Bulldogs.
Now let's go to the College and Career Center for a quick recap of information from Ms. Price.
With regard to applications at the Arizona state schools, if you have already applied, just know that it's going to take about 6 to 8 weeks for you to get your response from them. If you've already gotten your response, then what you're looking at is keeping an eye on your portal. So you're going to use your username and password, log into the portal, and you're going to be checking your task list, because what they're going to do is populate all of the different action items that you need to do in that place. They're not going to really be emailing you or texting you much anymore. That portal is going to be your main source of communication with them, and that's going to outline the different things that you need to do. Right now, you're really just going to be waiting for your scholarship confirmations, and then what will happen is in October, we'll be talking about FAFSA. Again, the task list is really going to be where all of your action items exist. You don't need to be worried about housing and some of those other things until really after in the month of January. So any other questions you have, just come by and check in and see me, and we'll work through it together.
Finally, Addison brings us to talk about this week's history with a look back on 9/11.
What's up, Bulldogs? It's Addie, back with This Day in History. On Sunday this week was the 21st anniversary of the tragedy that took place on 9/11. So let's walk through the events that happened on that horrible day. On Tuesday, September 11, 2001, at 8:45 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 was plowed through the 93rd and 99th floors of the North Tower, killing everyone inside the plane and hundreds inside the building. Both towers started evacuating until the South Tower was declared stable at 8:55. So the evacuations came to a halt in the South Tower. That order would quickly change. At 9:03, the South Tower was hit by United Airlines Flight 175 in floors 77 to 85. Firefighters, EMTs, police officers, and even bystanders rushed to help while civilians fled. While all of this was happening in New York, Washington, D.C. was on alert. At 9:37 a.m., the Pentagon was hit by American Airlines Flight 77, killing everyone on the plane and 120 additional military personnel and civilians. At 9:42, the Federal Aviation Administration grounded all flights, closing the U.S. airspace. Hundreds of planes were forced to land in places like Gander, Newfoundland, and several airports in Canada, being stuck there for almost a week. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed after burning for almost an hour. The building collapsed within 10 seconds. More than 800 civilians and first responders were buried in the rubble. Just a quick 4 minutes after the collapse, Flight 93 crashed into a field near Shankville, Pennsylvania. The passengers of this flight had heard of the tragedy in New York. Their plane had been hijacked. At 10:15 a.m., the west-facing side of the outer E-ring of the Pentagon collapsed. Just 13 minutes after, the North Tower collapsed after burning for 120 minutes. Over 1,600 people were killed as a result of the attack in the North Tower. First responders were rushing around. Search and rescue teams were trying to find any survivors caught in the rubble. This went on for days. At 5:20 p.m., the 7th World Trade Center collapsed. It had been evacuated earlier and there were no casualties. The added rubble was of no help to the rescue teams. At 8:30 p.m., the president, George W. Bush, addressed the nation from the White House, talking about the tragedy and the evil acts that had been committed on U.S. soil. Overall, the casualties of that day added up to 2,996, including civilians, first responders, and military personnel. This was a horrendous day that will be remembered in the hearts and minds of the public for years to come.
We've forgotten somewhat to remind people that there was the crash of another plane, a fourth plane outside Pittsburgh, about 80 miles from Pittsburgh, and we don't have video of that story at the moment. That's the fourth prong in this terrorist attack on U.S. soil.
We want to just repeat those airline numbers, which is extremely upsetting news for people who had loved ones on these flights, but we want to give you that information. The 4 aircraft involved.
We described to you the possibility of that North Tower collapsing. About 5 minutes after we went off the air, it did collapse. Once again, we have no idea at this point the loss of life. I can only tell you there were hundreds of emergency workers down there, about 5 or 6 blocks. In the first few minutes,
That wraps up this week's episode of BVTV.
Before we sign off, there are a few announcements for this upcoming week.
Next week, Spirit Week. For homecoming, Monday is Where It All Started. Wear black and white.
Tuesday is Twister Tuesday. Wear mismatched outfits.
Wednesday is Munchkin Day. Dress like a little kid.
And Thursday is Scarecrow Day. Wear your country attire.
And Friday is Wizard Day.
Ooh.
Wear your class colors. Freshmen wear white, sophomores wear black, juniors wear gold, and seniors wear purple.
Next week is the last week to buy homecoming tickets. At the Dance, Digital Media Club is running a photo booth. Photos are $5 for 1 and $15 for 4.
Theater's production of The Good Doctor is on today and tomorrow. 7 p.m. PAC. Be there. Tickets go on sale through GoFan.
There will be a unified football next Tuesday at 6 p.m. There will also be an orchestra concert in the PAC next Thursday at 7 p.m.
Have a great weekend, Bulldogs.